She flailed her way back to an upright position. If she'd ever deluded herself that she was an elegant, graceful woman, this day would have been a sad wake-up call. Her cheeks burned. Savage managed to sit down like a normal person. "You all right there?" he asked blandly, and he was just an odious, odious man. His fingertips came down to rest on her resume, and she nodded at it. "Don't blush."
"You'll notice gymnastic and acrobatic training listed under special skills. As you can see, I'm a tragic loss to the circus profession, but I just couldn't get past the clown phobia."
The corner of his mouth flickered. She couldn't tell if it was amusement or derision. She could guess, however. "I see athletic training," he agreed, glancing down the list of mostly true skills. The archery was a bit of a stretch, and consisted of an episode of Knightsbridge when Gloria had got drunk, crashed the Duchess's birthday party, and shot a flaming arrow into a pile of presents. Ash had eventually snatched the bow from Lily in exasperation and completed the shot so they could break for lunch. It seemed unlikely that Elizabeth I was going to be pinging arrows into the audience, however, so she couldn't see that particular lie being exposed. "I also see screen experience, several film roles, voice training." His own voice turned slightly ironic on that one, and he slanted a look at her, but surprisingly refrained from pointing out the obvious. She couldn't exactly deny the problem. If she wasn't paying attention, her speaking voice tried to slip into a register somewhere between film noir and a chipmunk. Teenagers in the street, checkout operators at the supermarket, men on the tube. Half the strangers she met thought she was trying to be sexy, which either weirded people out or resulted in unwelcome offers. The other half thought she had a brain the size of a tic-tac. Years of voice lessons had widened her range, but it still wasn't ideal. "What I'm not seeing is stage experience," he finished coolly. "If this is up to date, you haven't set foot on a stage since you finished at the London Institute, apart from one stint in a celebrity panto. I don't think I need to point out the difference between performing in the West End and doing a bit of look out, he's behind you for charity." She studied him thoughtfully.
"It's a lost art, condescension. Most workplaces are so PC these days that you just don't get patronised in quite the same way."
This time, both of his eyebrows came up. If he wasn't careful, he was going to have an actual expression soon.
"This would be my first major stage role, yes. And I assume the only reason you're even considering me is because I come with a TV following."
Most people despised her character, who had a solid track record of inserting herself between popular couples on the show. Sometimes literally. But Knightsbridge itself was a money spinner, and she was at least memorable, apparently.
"I'm not deluding myself that I'd have got through your front door if you couldn't exploit my name for ticket sales."
"Exploit?"
"Make sound economic use of?"
she suggested helpfully, and his face retreated further into the ice age. "I don't recall that many past difficulties in filling seats." Oops. 3 minutes into the meeting and she'd already trodden on his ego. At this rate, she wouldn't even get to read the first line of her monologue. After the short notice call, she'd stayed up until 1 in the morning rememorizing it, in case she needed a prepared piece. Fortunately, she'd had minimal lines to learn for the show today.
"Faster, harder, oh God, yes,"
and
"Of course I love you, darling, but he needs me,"
didn't require a lot of mental effort, in spite of not having trolled the soap opera sets for staff before. She was beginning to see why there had been a recent spate of tabloid articles about his abrasive management style. Instead of looking down his nose at the vocally challenged, maybe he ought to direct his energy into his people skills.
"It's not a soap opera,"
she felt obliged to point out on behalf of her paycheck. It was unquestionably a soap opera.
"It's a period drama."
It was Dynasty with feather boas and Charlestons instead of shoulder pads and hairspray. The abruptness with which he changed the subject spoke volumes. "Would you rather stand or stay sitting to read?" He picked up the sheaf of typed script that she'd been trying not to make sneak glances at. She'd already had to sign confidentiality papers stating that she wouldn't discuss any content from the play, should the audition be unsuccessful. The playwright, Benjamin Starkey, had won the Methven Prize 8 times, 6 more times than anyone else in the UK.